Premier Planet JB, your favorite MC, Justin Barlow, back with you inside the Premier Studio, here to talk to you about PPW 97. Thank you so much to everyone who came out to support us here this evening. If you weren't with us in Woodstock, here's what you missed out on. The evening's opening contest, a little bit of an odd one. It starts off with 0-2 facing 0-3. To my memory, this is the first time that these guys have been across the ring from each other. Usually they're on the same side. These guys really evenly matched, really entertaining match to watch. Very even with the martial arts skill, with the mat skill. In the end, it's 0-2 who picks up yet another win here in PPW, starting, I guess, what some might call a streak here, going 2 in a row. He pins 0-3, and he gets his hand raised once again here tonight at Premier Pro Wrestling. Following that, we had the return of Ulysses S. Adams, USA, pretty fitting since Independence Day is right around the corner. He took on 0-1. Now, these guys have met quite a few times here in PPW. So 0-1 seemed like he had been watching their past matches on replay. He seemed to have Ulysses really scouted in this one, and a lot of credit is due to 0-1 for showing off those skills here tonight. But Adams showing that good old-fashioned American-made grit and determination. He put 0-1 out with one of those just devastating leg drops, and Ulysses S. Adams walks out of here with the victory, and Old Glory waving proud and high. And following that, wow. Just when you thought Matt Vine and Iniestra couldn't top themselves from what they gave us last week in their matchup, the roof just came off of the studio here. These guys just pillar to post, everything they had, they left it all in the ring. And if this one wasn't better than last week, it was at least as good. And the match starts off with a little bit of an odd display, something we don't see very often from Matt Vine. He's actually the one to extend his hand out to Iniestra. And Iniestra, he's fallen for this before, where Vine puts his hand out and there's some dirty tricks up Vine's sleeve. But Vine puts his hand out, and Iniestra eventually accepts. No dirty tricks, the two shake hands, and the match gets underway. And these guys, they went for, it had to be a good half hour. And I mean, it was breathtaking, it was exciting. Whatever adjective you can think of to describe what these guys brought, near fall after near fall. So many times the referee's hand, it seemed like, was this close from the mat, and Viner and Iniestra would get a shoulder up, he would kick out, and it was just, we were holding our breath here inside the Premier Studio, watching the magic. It was magic that these two guys brought here tonight. In the end, though, Matt Vine is able to get Iniestra into a victory roll. He scores the 1, 2, 3, and finally, we have an official #1 contender here in PPW, and it's the world exclusive Matt Vine. But Vine wasn't done. Iniestra's about to leave the ring, and Vine says, no, you're not going anywhere. The two get back in the ring, and just like the match had begun, Vine puts his hand out. Iniestra accepts, the two shake hands, and then Vine actually raises Iniestra's hand, and then something we never thought we'd see here in PPW. These two guys actually hugged it out in the middle of the ring. These guys, they may not be friends, they may never be friends, but there is now definitely a huge amount of respect between the two, and you know what? All the respect in the world to both these guys. Matt Vine, new #1 contender, but Iniestra, he's got absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. And Iniestra is actually going to get another chance at that #1 contendership next week, and I'll cover that just a little bit later on. Following that, the return match from last week, if you were here with us, you remember Andy Anderson was able to pin Ronnie Metro despite the fact that Ronnie's foot was on the rope. The referee didn't see it, so he declared Andy the victor. Ronnie went berserk. He beat the snot out of Andy, left him laying in the middle of the ring. Andy was out for revenge here tonight. Now, one would think Ronnie would have learned his lesson from last week about letting the Premier Planet get into his head with their booing and their jeers and their taunting. No, Ronnie is he's so focused on what the fans are saying to him, he's not paying attention to the task ahead, and that allowed Andy to get the early advantage. But, kind of in a little bit of a balance from last week, I guess you could say, Ronnie is able to cover Andy over close enough to the ropes where Ronnie's actually able to put his feet up on the ropes again. Referee doesn't see it. This time it's Ronnie who gets one over on Andy. Was Ronnie satisfied? Of course not. Just like last week, despite the fact that this week he won, he starts wailing on Andy. Full-blown assault. finally, after a splash from the top rope and a pile driver that put Andy square on the top of his head, Ronnie finally leaves the ringside area, and it took 5 guys from the back to drag Andy back to the locker room to nurse his wounds. Now, Andy Anderson, he's okay, but unfortunately, his wounds are too severe for him to perform here this coming Saturday night. So this Saturday night, Ronnie Metro is going to keep attempting to climb that ladder on his way back up to the top of PPW, and his next stop is the veteran Texas Pete, and we'll see how Ronnie does with that one. And then after that, it was the main event. We have been hearing for so long about this big plan of Chase Gosling's, and supposedly this big plan was going to come full circle tonight. Now, as much as these guys have met each other in the ring, both of them just constantly having to pull out new tactics, new abilities, and it seemed like these guys were going so much harder than they have in the past. Chase Gosling is trying to keep Colton on the ground to keep him from flying. Colton will not stay down. Again, not the size of the dog in the fight, but the fight in the dog. Colton shows us that every single week. The turning point in the match came when the referee, well, he kind of ended up being the mustard in a Colton turnbuckle sandwich. Chase gets out of the way as Colton's looking to splash him. Colton splashes into the referee, knocks the referee out cold. Chase wastes no time. He goes out into the ringside area, goes under the ring, and grabs a steel folding chair. Now, if you remember last week, he pulled one over by pulling an Eddie Guerrero, hitting the canvas with it, tossing it to Colton, and making it look like Colton hit him. This time, no games. With the referee out, Chase takes the chair and he clobbers Colton over the head with it. Colton's out cold. Chase gets on top of the champ just in time for the referee to regain consciousness and count the 1, 2, 3, and Premier Planet. Love it or hate it, we have a new champion here in PPW, and his name is Chase Gosling. So as much as it pains me to say this, Chase, congratulations on becoming the new champion, but Scott Colton isn't out of it yet. Next week, he is going to meet Iniestra for the #1 contendership, and we've seen the magic these two can do in the past, what ya boys can bring to the ring. And Chase Gosling, no rest for the wicked. He's got the #1 contender, Matt Vine, next week. And now that Vine has finally put his issues with Iniestra to rest, Vine is going to be focused and determined on finally getting that belt that has eluded him for 3 years here in PPW. You are not going to want to miss PPW 98 this coming Saturday night in the Premier Studio. That address, if you don't have it, is 1230 Davis Road in Woodstock, Illinois. And also, don't forget, we are 3 short weeks away from our biggest taping to date. Saturday night, July the 16th, it's PPW 100. We have a lot of exciting stuff planned for that evening. You are going to want to be here for that. You're going to want to bring all your family and friends and anyone you know who enjoys pro wrestling, because it's going to be the biggest night we've ever had. And before that, don't forget, we are here for you every single Saturday night for your viewing pleasure. Follow us on up to that 100th taping, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Premier Planet. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're always posting a lot of great classic matches on there, and also matches from recent tapings. And don't forget to go to PremierProWrestling.com, where you can actually receive exclusive discounts on ticket purchases for our future tapings. That's it from me, Justin Barlow. Again, I want to thank you all so much in the Premier Planet for constantly supporting us here at PPW. We will see you out here in Woodstock.